Droidly Codes. Welcome back, Sketchware Android developers. Today, we are going to be working with Firebase Rules. Yes, Firebase Rules. Very intimidating because sometimes you don't understand how to use them or how it's worded on the Firebase website. It just doesn't make any sense. Now, I have done a thing for you guys. I have provided you with custom blocks in the link in the description below and a custom text document that you can load into your notes if you want to, which is right here with multiple different types of rules. So I have different rules here for you that say, hey, this is a read and write single location if authenticated. This is multiple locations. This is single location for actual database children. So our child area for our node. And I have created, like I said, that custom block for this video specifically. That custom block is going to be associated with our Firebase authentication blocks that we have created, or I have shared with you guys as well in our authentication video. So you're going to add those custom blocks to your authentication. How you do that, you're going to download the blocks, go to your block manager, navigate inside your Firebase authentication. Now pretend that these are deleted, which I'm going to do right now. And then you're going to import the blocks. I already have them exported. Go to your downloads folder, wherever they're located. Mine are just in my exported section here, my Firebase authentication. Select them, and you're going to select the bottom two. Now, I'm going to do stuff like this every once in a while because I know that we need some of this kind of stuff, because not every block is in Sketchware or every piece of code is in Sketchware for all the actual methods and stuff. It's going to be kind of a easy thing today to kind of explain everything as well. So don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to let anybody know that needs help with Firebase in general about this playlist, because I know Firebase is a big thing and a lot of people like to use Firebase for multiple different reasons. You can even create little games and stuff like that with Firebase as well. Usually just a turn-based game. People have created like RPG 2D kind of games before, but it doesn't really handle as well as UDP protocols and stuff like that. So let's jump in and remember how our rules are set right now. So these are our rules for our database right now. What this means is that our rules are set to expire on October 3rd, 2024 for our user to be able to read and write to this database no matter what. So this is everything, including our images database and our JimJam database locations. Now, this isn't good because technically anybody could just jump in here and just write to this database until October 4th. That could consume your database usage, that could consume your database pricing, all that kind of stuff, and you don't want that to happen. You also don't want people to be able to just, change the database or upload to the database if they're not authenticated, and that's what we're mainly going to be working with today. In our one video, I said, hey, let's add a section to enter our password, for example, which allows us to grab our user's UID from our authentication so that they can upload a new image, which is what we do right now. Basically is just go inside our application, we sign in our user, we select an image, we enter our password, which was password 1, and we select a new image if we want to. So we click this button, and then if we want to select a new image and change it, it'll upload and then change it accordingly in our on child changed. That's also going to change. So that's going to change because our custom blocks that I provided you are going to be handled in an on value event listener. So when we upload our images to the database, which is right here, we're going to be using different blocks. Now we're going to go back to our main activity for now. And what we're going to do in here is we're going to add a few blocks inside of our sign in user. Now I added a button here. This button is just allowing us to, send raw data to the database. I just like to add different things sometimes when I'm testing things out. This button literally allows you to just send data to your database no matter what. And if we go back to our database, I was able to just add that subscribe, basically child key, to our database. Now I'm going to delete this. I am sitting on my computer as well right now, so I can handle this kind of stuff a little bit easier and faster for you guys, so you don't have to sit through me trying to change this to desktop mode and all that fun jazz. So let's navigate back over and go into our application again, and we're going to go into our block that says sign in our user. Now, I have already compiled these blocks together to make this a little bit simpler, so you guys can just basically look at how I have my blocks set up. I'm going to get rid of these blocks right here, and I'm going to paste this right here. We're going to still use that start listening block. That means that we're looking for information from our database. I'm going to set my user ID based off of my user's UID that it gets from the authentication. And that is handled when we sign in our user. This whole sign in method, which is this custom more block, is located in our on sign in user complete block. Now, these blocks are the new ones. So these are the new blocks that I just created for you guys. This is going to check our JimJam database. Now you can select from the drop down depending on the location you want to check for. Ours is going to be JimJam. As yours says profile, for example, use profile. Now we're going to add that user ID in here, because it's going to check for that user ID. And then that profile info that we tried to send before, this is going to be set to a string. You can look at the source code of all this if you want to too, is going to get that information when we add our child information to the database. And then it's going to navigate us to our profile. Now, right now, because our rules have not changed, we haven't changed anything, we handle all this inside of our on child added section right here. Now we can get rid of this completely if we want to. You can add it to your collection if you want to keep it. So on child changed as if you want to name that, I guess. I know it doesn't spell right, but you can get rid of that whole complete block completely because we don't need that anymore for that JimJam location at least. So what we're going to do though, is we're going to download the text document that I have supplied you with. And we're going to grab specific pieces of code. So let me see if I can find it here. Which one is it? Multiple locations, no matter what, read, write location if authenticated. So this is where we want to read, write location if we are authenticated. So this is the piece of code that you're going to grab. Now we're going to change this to not images. We're going to change this to our JimJam location. So let's copy this. And we're going to go to our rules in our Firebase, and we're going to erase the rest of this. So erase all of this. And then you're going to paste those rules that we just copied. Now, what this is checking for is that if we are authenticated and we have basically confirmed our authentication through our email and whatever, we can read and write to this images folder. Now that is just for the images one. Now I have created a specific one for our JimJam location. So let's go in here and look for that. Oh, there it is right there. So our JimJam location right now. So here it is, right? Multiple locations, no matter what, for our images. So that's what we really want, is we want to be able to read and write to our images, no matter what, if you want to. And this can be changed as well. So I'm going to copy everything all the way up to here. So copy that. And then we're going to go back into here and we're going to erase all this again. And we're going to paste this. I'll make sure it's all gone. And then we're going to paste this. So I'm going to explain everything in here. So right now, these rules at the top are set to check the rules for our images location so we can read and write to it no matter what, even if we are authenticated or not. These rules right here are going to check the location of our JimJam location. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow us to only read and write if we are authenticated and our actual UID equals our UID in our JimJam database, which is our child key inside of our database. I'm going to publish this quickly here before it messes up again, because sometimes it's harder to do this on a phone and it's a lot easier to do on the computer. But for some reason on the phone, if you only have a phone, it sometimes just adds different things to it and you have to make sure that it's all matching. And there we go. Now I minimized it all. So yes, so if we look over here, if our authentication UID inside of our authentication section matches our UID that is located in our database, so this was our UID right here, then we'll be able to actually change and add different data inside of there. Now, we need to add this exact same block that we just created in our on sign in user to our collection. so that we can use this inside of our profile as well, because we won't be able to actually access our upload images to database section here unless we actually load the information. So I've already created blocks for this as well. So when we upload our data, we're going to start listening on that database location. And then we're going to grab that information from our profile UID, and then our map data info is going to go in here. So we're going to map that data back to our info list. And we already worked with this JSON information in the last video where we lurked on JSON a little bit so that we can load our actual image. And then we're going to basically just run this so that we can actually log in our user if our user is authenticated. And then when our user is authenticated, we'll navigate and grab our information from our database for that user specifically, and only for that user specifically. JSON cannot be resolved to a type. Now, remember when I said to get rid of our onChild added and copy these blocks? And that is because the custom block that I created is looking for JSON. So JSON is this right here. And that import is not actually imported unless we actually go into our source code and we grab that import. And this is the import for the JSON right here. So if you wanted to actually import this piece of code, you could. So com.google.json.json. That is how you do it. So we could just basically go like this, add our import block. That's an import block, something new that I'm teaching you actually. And now we can just import it here, erase that semicolon. And then if you want to get rid of that onChild added, we can. And then we can run this code, because what it was doing was looking for that JSON import, and I guess it doesn't exist unless we have those blocks in there. So now we can actually run this. We can actually load our information from our profile when we run it and sign in, and then we can actually change our information. So let's sign in our user. Now we can pick our image. So let's enter our password. We still have that password check, and you can get rid of that now if you want to. And I'm going to change my image to a picture of my pocket. Now that image is being uploaded, and there it is right there. Now before, this wouldn't actually load unless you added my custom blocks that I created for you. So there's the custom block for the sign-in user. There is the custom block for the upload image to database and loading that new information. Now, if we exit out of the application and we sign in again, our new image is saved to that user's profile. Now, what if we sign into another account, for example? So I have my other account on here and I sign in this user. This user should only be able to see the information for their images and stuff. Now, this user doesn't have any images or anything like that, but I'm only able to see the database information if I am logged into that user's account. So I'm going to enter my password and I'm going to change my image. I'm going to change my image to my cat this time. And then I'm going to upload that image to my database because it doesn't have anything yet, as I can see it changing. And there is my new image. Now, if I go back and sign in my user to DNA app development, I can only see the information and change the information for that user because we're signed in successfully, and our database Firebase rules are checking for that via these custom blocks and checking to see if we are actually logged in and we are authenticated with Firebase console. There are multiple different rules inside the notepad here as well. So I've added little hints about what each one does. So if you want to use these rules for whatever you want to use them for, I just drew over top of my text for some reason. I have added those again to the link in the description below. I hope you learned a lot today. I know we basically did just the gist of some of the rules. However, that is quite a bit of information, especially when you want to work with multiple different locations. So again, we have our location 1 for our images. That is the rules for that. And then you have to use a colon. And then we have to set rules for our Jim Jam location. And that's why I put the child location text block there. Now, if you wanted to add information for another piece of information or another piece of child location, you would just add a colon down here. And then you would add your next child location. So if you had another location that was called apples, for example, or something inside of here, and these are our locations right here, right? So if you had another one down here called apples or something, you would just add apples, and then you would add your rules for that. You could add the same rules for, hey, if you're only authenticated and your UID equals the UID that you're signed in with, then there you go. So that is basically it in a nutshell. Hope you learned a lot today. Again, subscribe, like, share, as I would love to see this channel grow again and grow even more with all these tutorials that I have been sharing with you guys. So take care, see you next time, and enjoy coding. Bye-bye.